Hello there. If you guys are trying to build a website and it's your first time and things are just it's like definitely a big dog situation. I mean, when you get involved with it, it definitely would be like, okay, this is definitely a big dog situation. And like, the biggest thing I can say is that I'm going to offer you some fair cleanliness advice. But I'm also going to try to see if I can teach you business etiquette. First off, is normally you go to school for this business management or like a business degree or some kind. The problem is that sometimes it isn't enough, and sometimes we don't have 2 years to go until or 4 years to actually go and get a degree for this. It's like, okay, maybe some certification classes or something like that at college. Maybe you might actually be able to do it. However, I will be honest with you. I'm a very business mind type of guy. I've been pretty much like all my life. I've been ready to take over a Fortune 500 company and run with it. But I'm going to give you some advice that normally wouldn't be passed down, not like this, definitely. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you guys a lot of information, and depending on how you guys run with it, it's entirely up to you. All right, first off, you're going to have to take me seriously for the next 10 minutes or so. Very seriously. You're not going to be able to, blow me off or whatever the case may be, because in order for this to work, you're going to have to take me seriously. Alright, next thing is that you're going to have some type of common sense. Not literal sense, but common sense. Because in the business mind, what does it use? Ding ding, number one, common sense. Okay, second, customer sales representative of industrial business like mine. However, there is going to be some calibrations in that department, obviously. And also you're going to have customer satisfaction, excuse me. I'm sorry, I've been doing video tutorials all morning. I'm tired and I've been drinking coffee, so excuse my language. Or excuse my French. Alright, so basically, to get on to the business etiquette, I'm going to have to do a couple of things. First of all, is how bad do you want to run your business? Because obviously, you're not going to be able to run the business any other way. You're going to have to take firm and control of your business, which means that you're going to have to manage, you're going to have to dictate, you're going to have to do all these things. Now, by the way, I forgot to mention before I started that you can actually go here and search for business management classes and stuff like that. Get a lot more insight this way. Or you can go to YouTube. You can do anything you want. You can also read and documentary stuff. However, what I'm telling you is high dollar stuff. Now, first off, is that when you start doing your business, you're going to have to run your own staff. You're going to actually have to run your own crew. You're going to have to run your own, business-like situation. One of the biggest problems is when you take it too far, if you go too fast, some of the problems is a lot of people can't keep up. And also depends on how you're paying your actual workers, or depending on the situation. It could be volunteers or any of these natures. First off, is that you're going to actually have to treat them as though like they're your associates. Now, first off, you're going to have to give them, you're definitely going to have to give them their personal space, and especially in a corporate business type sort of thing. If they're like your friends or whatever the case may be, that's going to become a quick problem, because in the business industry, friendships will only get into the way of the business, and they would actually cause conflicts and actually could destroy the business. If best suited to not have any friends actually working with you, because the problem is like they know you, they want to play, they want to cut up, they will not take their work seriously. So it depends on the situation, but that's a 9 times out of 10 statistic, and it's very well known. And secondly, you do not want to get personally involved or personally attached to certain things, because that can also get in, that can mess you up with your business. Secondly, is you're going to want to also move on the task at hand. Whenever something bad happens on the site or in the business, you're going to want to move excessively with force, either to remove the person or any case of this nature, which would be most likely firing. You would probably have to fire somebody, or you're going to have to deal with your dictation really quickly. So, just checking to see what kind of time we actually have. Okay, 5 minutes. That's good news. Okay, next thing is when it comes to salary and things like that. When you get into salary, you're going to actually have to get in bed with a lawyer if you get that far. I mean, the bottom line is how far you're willing to take it and how far you're willing to go. That's usually the biggest question. Now, in a business, you're going to want to run your customers and your employees and your friends and family. You're going to be able to want to run them on a site like this because you can actually sit there and catacomb them and organize them to where that they can go to the site freely like that. But the problem is, if you're going to run a business, the business comes first, obviously. So that's going to be the situation one-on-one. But technically, you have all the power in the world to turn it into your own personal Facebook, your own personal friends domain type sort of thing, and you can even run the business simultaneously all by side by side. The way to do it is to organize it and to, catacomb it, so that way you can do that. But actually, that's just the power that you have with this site type sort of capability. But first off, is you're going to have to run your business. Absolutely has to come first, because your business is your everything, like it's your moneymaker. Now, secondly, is all the business and proceeds that you get, you need to make sure it goes to an account that pretty much only your hands go into, or your accountant, depending on the situation, depending on if you actually have an accountant. But if you're going to divvy up the money in that certain way, you definitely want to put a salary at the boss of the CEO, and definitely, like, if you have partners or board of directors or family members. If this is like a home business type sort of thing, say if you have your wife involved, you're definitely going to want to put a salary in there. So that way, the money that actually gets into the company, that way it stays in the company. So the company actually can flourish and grow, and also have a stable, huge amount of money to where that it can, definitely survive. Think about it. If you're the CEO of a multi-millionaire company, or just a couple of $1,000,000, or maybe just $100,000, you could actually take a salary of like 10%. Think about it. If you're making in a couple of $1,000,000, or if you're making in multi-million, then technically you can break in about $100,000 in the salary. That's more than enough to live off of. Trust me. It sounds like cheap, but in actual reality, the money that you gather up in the company only makes the company more stronger, because of the fact that the reason is, number one, you do not want to suck your money out of the company, because if you do, then you lose the company. See, what happens is a lot of people make the biggest mistake ever. When they get a mountain full of money, they go, what? Spend it. Exactly. The problem with that is that if you got a successful business and you have a successful amount of whatever it is that you're selling, and depending on whatever you're doing, that actually needs to grow. And the only way that you can grow it is if you have stable money in the bank, saving up for just that rainy day. Because let me tell you something, there's going to be dry spells and there's going to be problems, and the only way to fix that is with money. And I'm not talking about like a couple $100,000. Sometimes it takes up a lot of money, and the only way that you can actually make sure that that money is there is if you don't spend the money. Blow it is, in my opinion, is the number one word. Because that's what everybody does whenever they get out of college. They go in there, get a job, and then all of a sudden they get a house note and everything else. Before they know it, they're in heels of debt. They've got 5 or 6 mortgages. Their credit cards are all maxed out, and they don't even realize what's even happening. The funny part is they act like as though nothing's ever happened like this. And then they get fired and they want to go, I don't know what happened. And it's like, you know exactly what happened, but you choose to ignore it. And that's the problem. Not everybody's willing to actually okay, you know what I need to do? I need to be smart about how I do my money and how I do my spending. Because let me get right down to it. You're not always going to have a job. You're not always going to have a business. So you need to prepare yourself for that, because then that's how long the business is going to last. Like I said, the salary thing is actually really smart. $100,000, that's not enough to live off of? Are you kidding me? That's a lot of money. You'd be happy with $60,000, but You know, $100,000 is actually really, really nice compared to that. Anyway, not to get off topic, let's see how much time we have. Probably not that much. Okay, it's 10 minutes. Okay, that's not bad. The next thing is when you're talking to your customers, etiquette would be in the word that I would describe up with that. When you're dealing with customers, the first thing is your first impression is your last impression. Do not try to overwhelm them or any of these natures. Try to speak in a frame of mind. And you got to keep it in remembering that when you're talking to people like your customers or any of that nature, you do not want to mess with them, in my opinion. It's because of the first factor that they usually attentively like to react in other ways, other form of ways. And you cannot get a good read on people unless that you're actually, got it set down in a frame like mine. However, it is also better to listen to these people because they will tell you something that you're not yourself ready to hear. The biggest mistake that I made on my website building was that I was actually constructing it to be exactly like this other website. I was copying it so much to the point where I realized that I actually was all I could think about was copying and copying and copying. And then all of a sudden I realized, hey, we're trying to be our own entity. We're not trying to copy somebody else. And I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't even know why I was even doing it in the first place. I mean, here I was trying to, make our own entity and own originality, and I didn't even realize that I was copying them. First off, you're going to have to understand, you're going to have to, realize and wake up and listen to people. Because your staff will, tell you exactly what you want to know, and also the people will also tell you what you need to know, and you don't even know it. And that's actually common sense, and it's also been a proven factor, and not just in the website business, but in business literally. And so you can definitely rely on that factor. That's my biggest advice: is to never think you yourself are really that great. That will keep you humble, so that way that whenever you have to deal with people that are actually telling you criticism, and if they have a complaint, you'll be ready to listen. But usually a lot of times is that they'll have a lot of complaints over something that's completely bullcrap and doesn't actually make any sense, and they need to be put in their place. It's true. So I understand that situation. Let's see, how much time do I have? Okay, 12 minutes. That's not bad. Well, the first off is when you're talking to your customers, you want to give them the air to breathe. You want them to be able to, basically feel like they are in heaven. You give them that, what they're really needing. And when you're doing your advertisements, we'll get to that. Advertisements are a pain in the butt, but basically, if you're going to make your business based off of one big advertisement, just remember not everybody likes advertisement, and that's definitely much a given. So you're going to have problems with that. You're going to try to have to put some spice and also then put some advertisement in there to kind of mix it up. Because let's just say, do you like your steak and eggs without eggs? Excuse me. Do you like your steak and eggs without eggs? No, you want your steak and eggs. Okay, see, that's my point. Is basically you want, they want stuff. You got to be able to give it to them. You got to have them a reason why that they want to stay on that site, because advertisement itself will not work unless you have, something that they want to have, something that they want to do, that kind of sort of thing. There has to be a reason, to surround it with advertisement. So anyway, that's pretty much it for now. And today I will try to come up with something a little bit more next time, make another video, so that way I can help you out in that department. But anyway, alright, thanks guys for listening. That's it. Bye bye.